Hi, welcome back to the workshop. It's me, Scott Martin from Bonsai Matsu again, and this little video is going to be on spring candle breaking for Japanese black pines. So you can see here in front of me I've got two beautiful trees, nicely ramified, developed really beautifully, look great, very consistent bud growth across the trees. But each of these trees started somewhere along the track looking like these ones. Or these other ones that you can see here with, large sacrifice branches, buds that are all different sizes, looking a bit shaggy. But that's where they come from, and this is where they head to. So I just want to go through the really simple process of candle breaking that we do in spring to balance out the resources of the tree and distribute its energy accordingly. So we get nice, even, consistent growth on our trees, and we don't end up with trees that are too strong in one part and too weak in other parts. So I'll explain that for you now. So if we look first where we want to get to, where we want to target our distribution of resources, if you look at this little beautiful black pine, you'll notice there's a fertilizer bag on there. But one thing that you really need to take notice of are all the small little buds, how they're all pretty much the same size throughout the whole tree, which is quite difficult to do, but that's what we do with distributing resources on a black pine. So this is the target, this is where we want to get to. And to do this, what we do is we control the stronger areas and make them weaker, and the weaker areas we make stronger. So if you imagine, it's like a set of scales that we work on with our pines, where we try and make the strong weaker and the weak stronger. So everything across the tree finishes on a nice even plane, and we end up with very nice consistent growth across the whole tree. Now this black pine is clearly a tree in development. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be a beautiful tree one day, but it's not there yet. So there's big, thick, heavy, coarse wire doing some major bending on the tree. It's really to set the core foundation for the tree. You'll notice there's a big sacrifice branch up here as well, which is being used to thicken the lower part of the trunk. And some pretty long differential size of buds across the whole tree. They're at the point now where they're ready to be broken. And if you have a look closely, you'll notice the needles are just starting to appear through the buds now. So the process is quite simple. We don't use scissors, we just use our fingers. What we do is we take the tip of the bud and we just twist and break it off. Now what that does, that stops resources going to that bud, and then the resources move down the tree to the weaker buds. So we stop the long buds, the strong buds, from getting too strong, and we force the tree to allocate resources to other buds on the tree that maybe haven't been given enough of a shot. So for instance, if you look just beside the bud that I broke, then you'll see that there's a couple of smaller buds there. Now I'd reasonably expect that the resources that were being allocated to this stronger bud will be moved towards these weaker buds. That's how we start to develop a balancing of resources in a Japanese black pine. So this little one is a lot further back in the development process. It's here for a demonstration for you guys to show you how it all works. But you can see clearly with this tree that there's a great difference between the weaker areas, which have got very, very small buds, and the stronger areas, which have got really, really long candles. So if this tree was left to its own devices, all the resources would go to this part of the tree, and these lower parts here would struggle and wouldn't develop at the rate that I'd like them to. So by candle breaking with our fingers at this time of the year means that we can successfully allocate where the tree is going to push its resources. Now you'll notice also on the candle itself that there is a green stem, then the needles start to appear through the white sheath. So we're breaking into that sheath, so not into the green stem. We want to leave some needles there so they can come out and be used. So the next stage with this tree would be to assess the strength and health and development process, and then consider the decandling process somewhere down the track in later in the year. Here's another black pine that's clearly a long way from being a refined tree, and he's definitely in the development process. But you'll see that there's even stronger areas on this tree that have taken off and been allowed to push away, and there's other areas that are a lot weaker. So again, it's that balancing that we're trying to do. So areas that we want to grow and to thicken, we'll allow the buds to continue to grow. We won't be breaking those candles. But for this tree, I'm looking at breaking all the longer candles to push that growth back into those weaker buds, which are the buds that somewhere down the track, when I'm doing the cutback and development on this tree, that I'll be cutting back to. So if I don't do that now, it means that, you know, somewhere down the track my design's gonna suffer. And when I look at a branch like this, where there's quite a long branch there beside a shorter one, it would be easy to remove this one, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to break the tip of this candle, and then somewhere down the track this whole thing will be cut off and removed as part of the development of the tree. So I'll just go through and I'll break the candles now. You'll notice that the smaller candles, the smaller new buds, haven't been touched. So I'll just focus primarily on the longer and the strongest ones at this point. And then what I'll expect to happen is these here will start to take off, and they will start to get long and strong. And then I'll chase them again, and if they get too big, then I'll be looking to break those candles somewhere down the track. So this isn't a process which is just done once and the tree's then forgotten about. It's basically done. The next lot of candles start to grow and get too strong, then you break those ones. Then the next lot start to grow, and then you break those ones, all the way along. So all the resources get distributed evenly across all of the candles on the tree. All the buds get their opportunity to grow. Then we end up with nice balanced growth all over the tree. So just to recap, the idea with candle breaking is to stop strong areas from getting too strong and to have resources allocated to the weaker areas on our pines. We do it now at the start of spring as the candles start to elongate, before the needles open, but once you can see the needles on the new candle itself. We finger break the tip of the candle to ensure that no further resources get allocated to that to cause it to grow longer and stronger in that area. We're aiming to balance the resources of the tree so we get nice, consistent, even growth like we do on trees like this. Then as they develop over time, like for instance, this black pine won't have any candles broken on it whatsoever. Same as this one. Same as a lot of my developed pines, because the hard work's been done when they've been in the development stage, and now I've got balanced resources which I've also managed through the pruning process during the autumn and winter months. So that's candle breaking on a Japanese black pine. Quite simple, quite easy to do, sort of thing that you'll do as you're walking past and see the trees on the bench. Don't need to necessarily make it a once-off job. It happens consistently throughout the growing period of spring for your trees. It's really easy to do. As always, allows you to get nice and close to your bonsai and spend some quality time with them. So I hope that's helped, and all the best. Get at it. Happy bonsai.